Hey, thanks for joining. Today we're going to go through removing the engine on a 2007 cbr1000.
Now, ladies, this is why you date a mechanic. You hit the same spot every time. All right, just kidding. This video really picks up after the air filter video, so we'll start with removing the throttle bodies and other stuff on the top of the engine. If interested, we can even offer a little backdoor action.
Now I need to work on getting this airbox off of the bike. There are rubber covers here, which just kind of stretch over some mounts, so I'm going to start removing those. Pay attention to what I knocked off over there. Continue on with my rubber covers. This has a couple wires that run through it as well. I'm going to disconnect those while I'm at it. One of them runs up to the right side of the bike. The other one just goes to the center. The other one wraps around the front. I marked each of my injector wires, 1, 2, 3, 4. They are also, at least some of them are marked on the actual wires with a number as well. So these are for our injectors. Just squeeze and pull them off. Small retainer right here. Gonna pull that just to get this wire out and then put it back on. Over here I'm gonna disconnect the rest of these wires because they will all have to come off. Just pull out on the clip and down on that connector. Same thing over here. This is the other one that I had just taken off. While we're at it, I'll unbolt this. And right now I'm going to get these pulled off of this bracket. We just push in on the retainer and then push this off the bracket. Now we'll continue getting our wires out. So we're going to fish our injector wires up through here. And the wires that we disconnected over here, bring up. And we've got 3 connectors still holding us down here. Nope, a few more than that. I would label these as well so you can remember where they're going. These ones are already done. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring them around. We have one more down here on our water lines. This is probably a temperature sensor. Now we can bring our wires around and tuck them up in the back out of the way. Now we'll have to pull the top half of this airbox cover off. More Phillips head screws. One down right here in the center. Just flip that over for now. Now we've got to take the bolts out that hold our base on. These are screws once again. These are nice because they have retainers built in so the screws won't fall out. Now up front there are 2 hoses with a couple clamps. Now we need to disconnect the throttle cables, so I'm going to loosen this up right here so I can bring it out. This is slotted. Now we'll pull these 2 hoses off. And now we'll go through and loosen the clamps holding our throttle bodies into the intake here. We also have one electrical connector right down in here on the side of this. We'll need to get that disconnected. It's a tough one. There's a lot going on here. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room here by disconnecting these. And I'll unbolt this guy right here, get that out of the way. I'll disconnect that one as well. Here's that other electrical connector I was trying to get. Now I have a lot more room. There it is. So we've already loosened up our throttle body clamps. We still have this lower throttle cable on. That one's really tough to get to. I'm going to try to pull this guy up out, and maybe I can get to it a little bit better. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the base of this hammer up against the flange here. I'm going to try to get that to start breaking loose out of these intake boots. And they are flexing, but they just won't let go yet. There it is. Looks like we might have one more connection yet. No, that should come with it. Oh wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong one. So this one tube comes around the bike and goes in the center right here. Now that also goes right down here to this guy. So I'm going to disconnect here and pull back because that one was giving me a little trouble, and it's a little bit harder to get to. So now, I believe everything is free. We just have to disconnect this other throttle cable. Now I'll just flip this over and undo it. Pull it out, throttle cables are off. Now our throttle bodies and the top half of the airbox are free. Now we'll continue down here to get the rest of the wires that we need disconnected and whatnot. We'll just ignore whatever sounded like it just fell there. We don't need that. Anybody want a Slim Jim? Nice. Now, normally this plugs right into there, but this is part of the speedo healer system, so that goes in line. And we should have a wire going down to the kickstart right here. We will disconnect that. And then just our wires to the starter. So we've got two 10mm bolts down here on the starter, as well as the positive wire going to the starter. We'll remove both of these and the bracket that holds the starter on, because that also holds this plastic wireway, and we need to get that out of our way. Now for the positive wire going to your starter here, you're going to need a thin 10mm wrench. I actually ground one down for starters just like this to hold that bottom nut in place. Break the top nut loose. Remove the wire. I'm going to put the nut back on so I don't lose it. And now I'm going to move on to the two bolts that are holding the starter and this wireway. Now this wireway is disconnected. Now we have to remove the intake. This wire right here needs to be disconnected. Get a couple more push pins like down bottom. Pull these. We'll go ahead and disconnect these electrical connectors. I think we can get away with just lifting that. I'm going to go ahead and pull this tube out of the way. We'll disconnect this electrical connector and just tuck this guy back. And there are two screws in the side of that that'll allow this to separate. There we go, now that separates, and this will pull out the front.
Now remove your coils, which are also your spark plug caps, and disconnect the harness from the bike and remove it from the bike.
I'm going to go ahead and throw a zip tie around this in the frame just to hold it up out of our way. Over on this side right here, this wire comes out. We disconnected it. that has a chance of catching on the frame as we're pulling it out, so we're just going to pull that down and get it out of the way. And other than that, we are completely disconnected. I didn't pull this tube out, that's going to fight us. So I will remove that. I'm not going to drop the bike for this shot though, because that's a lot of work. Hey, I'd like to just jump in here. If you're enjoying this video, if it's helping you out, please like, and if you would, subscribe if you think you could use more of my videos. I would really appreciate it. Honda says pull these bolts first, but I disagree with Honda. So we're going to loosen these ones up first in the back. We've got these special retaining, these two. We've got these special retaining nuts. We'll go through that process and then we'll break those loose. These are two 17 millimeter nuts. Now it's a good idea to have a friend when you're lowering this motor down. I did have a buddy that was going to show up, but he hasn't showed up yet, and now his phone's dead, so I don't know if he's on his way or not, but I'm going to keep on moving here. So back over on the right hand side of the bike, we've got these special nuts that need to come out. Now Honda says pull them completely. I disagree. Once again, I'm going to loosen them, but I want them to stay on there because there's these tiny little ears that we're going to be turning for these clamps. So I just want these loose enough to the point where they're still retaining it. Otherwise, sometimes when you go to turn it, it can break one of those ears off. So this is a special wrench. This is a Motion Pro item number 080572. I'll put a link in the description to get one of these. All right, so like I said, I'm going to leave these on here. I just want them actually covering those ears for me. Now we need an 8 millimeter Allen wrench. And what these actually do is they pinch the motor. So this whole assembly screws into the frame here. And right now we're going to back that off so that's no longer pinching the motor. The bolts are still going to be running through, holding the motor right now. You want to back these all the way off, so we open this, open it up so the motor has more room to move as it's coming out. I'm going to go ahead and pull this bottom bolt right now, so I'll push that across. You'll notice down here I put a transmission jack underneath the engine to help support it as we're disconnecting everything here. So I'm going to leave that one in, so that's still holding, and I'm going to start pulling the other 4 engine mounting bolts. Now, unfortunately, I am going to stop right here because even after I get this out and lowered down with this transmission jack, I will not be able to get the motor out. We need to support the motor, get the transmission jack out of the way, and then we can bring it down and pull it out the side. I just simply can't do it myself without the thing probably falling over. So definitely recommend 2, if not 3 people at this point. 2 is nice because you can each grab one side of the motor. The third person takes the jack out from underneath it, whatever kind of jack you're actually using. So I talked to my buddy about 3 hours ago, and he said he's coming. So, like I said, it was 3 hours ago, and I've just been sitting around doing nothing at this point, and it really starting to bother me. So, I decided to invent a new game. The new game is called Engine Jenga. So we are going to drop this motor on these blocks and then rock it back and forth as we pull these out and get it down to a point where we can get it out of here. Wish me luck. Alright, so the good news is we have not put any weight on that. That means we've jammed this motor into the frame really nice, and we'll probably have no chance of getting that one out now. So, we'll probably rethink this and put this guy back in. This one back in. Now let's see what kind of damage we can do in the back. So we've still got a lot of weight on that. I'm almost thinking we need a little helper to get that up off of there. So fortunately, we got this engine lifter 1000 right here. And you see, that just slightly lifts the engine, just enough so you can push this out. We got, there's a few spacers in there, they'll find their way down. Now, more good news. We're still not supporting the motor. So it's probably sitting on that swing arm right there. Now let's see if we can get this into a situation that we can't get back from. Perfect. It moved, still not touching anything. Let me get that guy out of there before we rip that out. That's not holding it. Well, maybe we just need to wiggle it a little bit. So what I'm thinking at this point is we actually have to come forward a little bit. See if we can't knock these boards over. There we go. Another spacer. All right, and let the game commence. We actually have pressure on both of these now. I'm going to start with the front. Definitely a full floater. You ever just look at something and know you're going to lose? That's usually where a hammer comes in handy. Oh yeah, that's nice, that's nice. So I'm having a hard time turning this, or tilting it at all right now, but it looks like the problem is we're running into the swing arm. So I think again, if we come this way, we might get some help. So we'll just slide those. You don't really gotta hit that one. All right, now we'll try to bring the entire motor forward a little bit more. That was one of the quick ways down. All right, look at this. We're making headway. Look at all these boards. Everything in it. It's perfect. Oh yeah. Now, smartly, we put the biggest one at the bottom. But also, we're still kind of clipped on the frame here, so I almost think that I can tilt this back and get this last one out. Well, we'll try a little pivot action here. Here's what we'll do. Sneak this little guy in here. Engine mover 1000 again. Just lift on her a little bit here. Perfect. And then see if we can't get this big guy out. Oh, look at that, look at that. Now, we'll reposition our big guy for a second. Realize we totally missed the mark. But hey, look at that. We got a tire up front to help out. So we'll take this little guy out. Back to the front guy. A little bit of slide. Get our helper. And we have a motor. Apparently you don't need more than one person for this job. This is super simple. Anybody can do it. You just have to get a little creative. Clear a spot. Remove all trip hazards. And you have your motor. Realize you should have brought a stick with you. That'll work for now. Check out the complete playlist of disassembling and reassembling this bike and the engine. Perfect. Dumping antifreeze everywhere. Gonna need a little drippy pad. All right. Just in time for it to run out.